Okay, we're going to look at hypothesis testing for categorical data. This is an introduction to R for statistics presentation, and it's essentially a worked example using a scenario that we're going to look at shortly. So this exercise involves analysing data on a group of students to determine whether or not tutorial attendance is associated with its exam success. And we're going to look at three types of analysis here. The chi-square test, what we're going to do is perform a chi-square test with continuity correction to determine if there's an association between tutorial attendance and exam success. Fisher's exact test, again, conduct this test and compare its conclusion with the chi-square test at a 1% significance level. And then finally, a binomial test. Test if the proportion of students passing the exam is equal to 60%. State the null and alternative hypotheses, calculate the p-value, and draw a conclusion at a 5% significance level. Okay, so here's the data that we have to work with, and we're going to turn this into a matrix. A researcher has collected the following data on a group of students regarding whether or not they passed or failed the exam and whether or not they have attended the tutorials. Okay, so let's go row-wise across the top. So the ones that have attended tutorials, 132 passed and 120 failed, about half and half roughly. Those that did not attend tutorials, 27 versus 51. So 27 passed and 51 failed. Okay, so this is what we're going to work with. This is the data we're going to work with here. Okay, so first off, what we have to do is load this data into the R environment in matrix form. So we're going to use the following code. So we're going to set this up as a matrix called exam.success. And that is a matrix, okay, and we have our values there, 132, 120, 27, and 51. We're going to specify it as ncol equals 2 and nrow equals 2. Okay, so that will just set up the data as required, okay. The researcher wants to establish whether or not the tutorial attendance is independent of exam success using chi-square test. Okay, so that's us done. We're sort of getting into action now. So here's the questions that we're going to do. Exercise 1 is state the hypotheses of this test. 2 is calculate the expected frequencies for the data under the null hypothesis in exercise 1 using an appropriate function in R. Okay, we're going to perform a continuity correction or clearly state your conclusions at a 1% significance level. Exercise 4, what would be the conclusion of the test at a 1% significance level if Fisher's test is used instead of the chi-square test? The null and alternative hypotheses need not be restated. Hint, use Fisher.test, use that function in R, okay? A bit of theory here. In the context of two tests performed in exercise 3 and 4, which one is an exact test and which one is an approximation? Which test is suitable only for 2x2 data and which test is suitable for any n by n data set? Okay, and use the binomial test to test whether the proportion of students passing the exam is equal to 60%. You are required to clearly state the null and alternative hypotheses, p-value of the test, and your conclusion. Okay. So first off, let's set up the data in R. Okay. Now, so this is just, we're getting into business here. So just actually sort of reusing what we were sort of given as a hint at the start. But exam.success is a matrix there. We have our values there, a vector of values 132, 120, 27, and 51. The number of columns is 2 and the number of rows is also 2. But just as an additional thing here, I just go down here a bit. We're going to specify by row equals true, okay? So that means that the first two values there, 132 and 120, that goes into the first row. The next 27 and 51, that goes into the second row, and so on. We can also give names to the rows and columns there, column names and row names, okay? So you can give names to the rows and columns of a matrix if required. So we have exam passed and exam failed, okay, and attended tutorials, did not attend tutorials, okay. So we have it all pieced together, so let's just have a look at it there. So we just type in exam.success, and this is the output we get down there, which is exactly what we're looking for. So I think we're good to go. We have a nice setup going here, okay. So moving on. So exercise 1, just state the hypotheses. So this is straightforward enough. Null hypothesis H0 is tutorial attendance is independent of exam success. And the alternative hypothesis H1 is that it is not independent of exam success. Okay, So that's just part of the exercise that we're going to be looking at here. Just recall that when we are looking at p-values from tests later on. Okay. So part 2, calculate the expected frequency. So we're going to use the chi-square test, okay, in this analysis, okay. So we're going to set it up as chi-squared or chi-sq underscore result, and what we're going to do is use the chi-square dot test with our matrix, okay. So we have exam success, passing it in as an input to chi-sq dot test, okay. Just as a quick remark, I have correct equals false there, just something later on. So just disregard that for a minute. But just to notice that it is there. I'll explain why later on. It's just to actually specify that I deliberately set it to false here, because I'm going to talk about that shortly. Anyway, what we want here is display the expected frequencies. Okay, so essentially there is a component of this output called expected, and this gives the expected values under the null hypothesis. So essentially chi-sq underscore result is a model object that contains the results of this chi-square test, okay? And there's various components of that model object, but one is actually the expected values under the null hypothesis. And here they are there. So we have 121, 130, 37, and 40. Well, I'm dropping the decimal places there, but you can just see it down there at the bottom of the slide, okay? So the $sign expected just allows us to directly access the expected values on the null hypothesis. This is coming from the model object. Okay, so that's it. We're good to move on. Now, Yates correction. So this is an important part that's coming up next. So this is what I was sort of getting at there with that correct equals false. I just deliberately sort of set that false just for the time being. Yates correction, also known as Yates continuity correction, is a statistical adjustment applied to a chi-square test of independence in contingency tables with small sample size, especially for 2x2 tables. Okay, it adjusts for the fact that the chi-square test assumes a continuous distribution while the observed data are discrete. Okay, this correction reduces the chi-square value by 0.5 for each cell to make the test more conservative and reduce the likelihood of a type 1 error, false positives. Okay, so it's not really important in the last question, but it does come up in the next question, because it does actually ask us to specify use continuity correction in this example. Okay, let's just sort of double check that, just to be sort of crystal clear. Yes, just perform this test with continuity correction. Okay, so essentially we run the result at the same test again, chi-square test with exams.success as an input. Now here we are actually inputting setting correct equals true, which this is sort of say we will specify a test with continuity correction. Okay, so this is our updated test result, or our new model object, and we're going to save it as chi-sq underscore result underscore corrected. Okay, and there we go. Just essentially set it up there and show the object. Okay, so Pearson's chi-square test with Yates continuity correction. Now the key thing there is the p-value, 0.008939. So the p-value is significant at a 1% significance level, because the p-value is much greater or much less than 0.01. Therefore, there is evidence to reject the null hypothesis, and we can conclude that tutorial attendance and exam success are not independent. Okay, so it does have a bearing on whether or not you pass your exams if you go to tutorials. Okay. What would be the conclusion of the test at a 1% level of significance if Fisher's test is used instead of the chi-square test? So essentially, the null, and just a remark, the null and alternative hypotheses are not needed again. We don't have to do exercise 1 again. We're just told to use Fisher.test here as a function to run this test. Okay, so same sort of setup again. Here we use Fisher.test function to perform the Fisher's exact test. Just notice it says exact test there. And state the conclusion at a 1% significance level. So essentially the the function we use is Fisher.test, and the input object is the matrix exam.success. So we just run that and save the result as Fisher_result, and let's display the output there. So we have the output down there at the bottom of the page, and it tells you Fisher's exact test for count data. Okay. So count data being sort of a categorical data in that we're counting categories, just to sort of just bear that in mind. Now, so what we're looking at specifically is the p-value, and it's on the second line apart from the header. So data, exam success, p-value 0.06544. Okay, so that's the crucial thing we need. Just actually, you notice the true odds ratio. It's an interesting way of stating the alternative hypothesis. It just relates to... it's just a restatement of the null and alternative hypothesis. You're just using a slightly different set called odds ratio. I'm not going to get into that right here, but it's just interesting. Okay. So what is the result of that? Well, what is the conclusion? Essentially the same conclusion. They are not independent of each other. That there is a relationship. Sorry, there's a yeah, they're not independent of each other. It's the same conclusion as the chi-square test, essentially. That's it, really. Okay. In the context of the tests performed in exercise 3 and 4 above, which one is an exact test and which one is an approximation? Well, I sort of touched upon that already when I said that the Fisher's test is called the Fisher's exact test. And when I talked about Yates continuity, I did sort of state it was an approximation. So that one is very clearly a giveaway. Anyway, so yeah, Fisher's exact test is an exact test. Approximation, chi-square test is an approximation. Suitable for 2x2 tests, a Fisher's exact test. Suitable for any n by n data set, chi-square test. Okay, so the chi-square test will work for multiple categorical data have multiple possible outcomes for each variable. So moving on to the last part where we look at the binomial test. So using the binomial test, test whether the proportion of students passing the exam is equal to 60%. This is the true proportion, basically, or the population proportion, I should say. You're required to state the null and alternative hypotheses, p-value of the test, and your conclusion at a 5% significance level. Okay. So we'll use binomial test to test whether the proportion of students passing the exam is 60%. So the null hypothesis H0 is that the proportion of students passing the exam is equal to 60%. And the alternative hypothesis H1, the proportion of students passing the exam is not equal to 80%. So what we're going to do is go back to our exam success matrix. Now, essentially, we're just going to take out summations out of it. So we're going to take out the sum of the first column, which is the number of students that passed the exam. So that's num passed. Okay, that's 159. And altogether, the total number of students is the total number of students in all 4 categories, pass or fail, attend or didn't attend. That is 330 students. Okay, so we're going to use these values. So the number of successes is num passed. Number of trials is number of students, which is 330. And under the null hypothesis, the expected proportion is 0.6. So we're going to use those as the input arguments to binom.test, okay? And run that test and save the result in binom_test_result. And let's have a look at it there. Binom_test_result, exact binomial test, data, num passed and total students, number of successes 159, number of trials 330, p-value equals 1.789 e minus 0.05. Okay, so essentially a really, really small number. Okay, I'm not going to even try and verbalize that. Okay, confidence interval there as well is actually interesting. 95% confidence level is 0.4267 to 0.5371. Now we'll work on the basis of the p-value because that is what we're told to work with in the question, but actually the confidence level there is actually quite interesting. The proportion of successes, the probability of success is the number of total proportion of students that passed, is 0.4818, right down there bottom. Anyway, so the p-value is definitely less than the stated level of significance, which is 5%, and therefore we have sufficient evidence to reject the null hypothesis, and hence can conclude that the proportion of students that pass the exam is not equal to 80%. Okay, so p-value there, you can just write it out basically. I'm not going to verbalize it, but you can just take it out verbatim, and yeah, okay, so that's it.